And we back. Now, if you're an NBA fan, you know that this morning Dwane Casey was fired from his head coaching job with the Toronto Raptors. And in today's video, we're talking about exactly that. The first question is, was it the right move? Now, if you don't know, Dwane Casey just coached this team to the best record they've ever had as a franchise. But I can tell you right up front, there were two options for the Toronto Raptors going into this offseason. Either A, fire Dwane Casey, which that's exactly what they did, or B, make significant moves to their roster. And I can tell you option A was way more likely than option B, because if you look at their payroll, first you got Kyle Lowry, the starting point guard, all-star caliber point guard. Eventually, Father Time's going to catch up with him. And you don't want to be the team paying Kyle Lowry once Father Time hits him. So his trade value, not really there because of his contract. Then you got DeMar DeRozan, which I see as the centerpiece of the Toronto Raptors team, and I doubt they'd be looking to trade him, even though he underperformed in the second round against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Thirdly, you have OG Anunoby as a rookie. I think you want to keep him because, well, he exceeded all expectations, especially where you drafted him at and the way he attempted to guard LeBron. Having that assignment as a rookie means a lot. Then you have Serge Ibaka, who basically got rid of every ounce of trade value he had in this playoffs. He was so mediocre, man. I miss the Serge Ibaka that was really good in OKC, and you just don't have that anymore, and he deleted all trade value he had, so no team's going to give you anything for that. And then lastly, Jonas Valanciunas may be the guy that has the trade value, but I think about it like this: you got 8 to 10 teams that are taking, so they're not looking to get a guy like Jonas Valanciunas, and then teams that are trying to compete, well, they probably watched the playoffs and saw that defensively he can't really play against most lineups. He was taken advantage of by Kevin Love and the Cleveland Cavaliers. So they really just didn't have any flexibility when it comes to trade. Could some of those players get moved this offseason? Definitely. But if they will get traded, it won't be for equal value. And the way the NBA works, well, the first guy to go is the head coach. Now, Dwane Casey is a good coach, but I can honestly say he's lacking one thing that translates him from a good coach to a great coach, and that's his in-game adaptability. Coming into a game or a series, Dwane Casey can put together a pretty nice game plan. But once we get into the game and something different happens that's planned, he is terrible at making the adjustments. One thing I can think about is game 1 versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. They were up by 7, or they were up by 10 with 7 minutes left, and they kind of pooped the bed. You feel me? And a lot of that had to do with the Cleveland Cavaliers going right at CJ Miles. This entire series, the Cleveland Cavaliers went right at CJ Miles. You saw him in the post against Kevin Love, and Kevin Love took advantage. And then late in the series, I can't remember if it was game 3 or game 4, there was pick and rolls being ran between LeBron James and Kyle Korver. Kyle Korver would set the pick, and then you got the switch, and now CJ Miles is guarding LeBron James, and it was eat time for LeBron James. And Dwane Casey didn't make a move, so you know what? Though CJ Miles has been good for us offensively, they're taking advantage of him on defense, so he can't really play. He didn't do things like that, and his management with timeouts, his management with just lineups in general were horrendous, and honestly, that's one of the main reasons they lost this series. Yes, DeMar DeRozan didn't really show up, but Dwane Casey didn't make adjustments for the other players to maximize what they had. Like I said, he is a good coach. This offseason, they changed their style of play. They are a very ISO-heavy team, and then they transitioned to a style that more fits today's game. And well, it helped their team. Obviously, they won the most games they've ever had in franchise history, but again, they underperformed in the playoffs. Swept 2 times in a row by the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's not going to fare well for the head coach. And even Dwane Casey on this exit interview said that this sweep was different than last year's sweep. And it's weird to say, but I agree with him. This sweep had like 2 games go right down to the wire where LeBron James hits game winners. If LeBron James misses a game winner there, or the tip in by Jonas Valanciunas in game 1 goes in, this series is not a sweep. This series goes 6 or even 7, or maybe they win. You know, just small possessions change this entire series, so I agree with Dwane Casey there. But the fact that you couldn't pull just one definite game away from them is really going to hurt you. Now, after the playoff series was over between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Toronto Raptors, I saw some Toronto Raptor fans that are saying that they shouldn't blow this up. And honestly, I understand it now. I understand it. If you take a look at their roster, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Serge Ibaka, all veterans. Serge and DeMar DeRozan have been in the league for 8 years, and like I said, Kyle Lowry's getting up there in age. Jonas Valanciunas, though it feels like he's been around for a long time, he's only 25 years old. Then you have OG Anunoby, a rookie, Fred VanVleet, second year in the league, Jakob Poeltl, second year in the league. Pascal Siakam, second year in the league. That's 4 legitimate role players that are either first-year players or second-year players. So going through this team for another year could be beneficial because those 4 role players will get better. And then DeMar DeRozan is in the prime of his career. So I can understand why revamping this team for another year would make sense, but the head coaching job had to be open for somebody else. Now, there's 2 things that could happen here, right? Again, Dwane Casey, the greatest coach in Toronto Raptors history. I parallel it to 2 things, or 2 things that can happen. Mark Jackson led the Golden State Warriors to a 51-31 record. 51 wins, 31 losses with the Golden State Warriors. But they lost in the first round in 7 to the Clippers. And then, they decided we need a coach that's going to get us to the next level. And they signed, who else but Steve Kerr? Championship year 1. That is the best example I could give y'all Raptors fans that you could be thinking about. That Masai Ujiri could sign a head coach that can get y'all to that next level, over that 59 wins this season, and more importantly, over the hump that y'all have seen in the playoffs. Or the exact opposite can happen. You can have a case like George Karl. George Karl led the Denver Nuggets to a 57-25 record in his last year, but since they only got out the first round of playoffs 1 time out of 7 seasons, they decided to fire him to try to get a coach that'll get him up that next level. But they hired Brian Shaw, who did exactly the opposite, and they end up missing the playoffs the next year, and then he was fired halfway through the year after that. So 2 things can happen. You can sign a head coach that'll get you over that hump, or you can sign a head coach that can take your team back a bit. And that's the scary part. But Masai Ujiri has never had the opportunity to sign a coach that really fits what he wants. In Denver, he got there late. He got there late. He didn't get the opportunity to sign his head coach. And then in Toronto, when he got the job as the general manager, well, Dwane Casey was already there. So this is his first opportunity to sign a head coach. And he's got a lot of options, man. There are a lot of good coaches out there right now. They said they were looking at Budenholzer, which, could be a good thing because he is a better in-game adjustment guy than Dwane Casey. Again, what separates a good coach from a great coach is making in-game adjustments. And that's why Brad Stevens is one of the best. And that's why Dwane Casey is good, but not great. And I have no doubt in my mind that in a few years, or maybe even next year, some team will pick up Dwane Casey as a head coach. Again, he's a good coach, not a great coach. And one thing he excels at is player development. And some of those teams that are in the tanking mode or the young player mode could definitely use a guy like Dwane Casey. But that's all I really have to say about the topic. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about the Dwane Casey firing. Was he a scapegoat? Or was it the right move for the team? Again, honestly, I think only time will tell. It depends on who they sign and how this guy transitions to this team. All right, thank y'all so much. Peace.
Purple sky, 4:44 a.m. About to burn this Jake with some Z's. Country fat band, set my pants, shut it down.